The following show features episodic breakdowns of Jackass, either performed by professionals or under the supervision of professionals. For your safety, avoid listening to this podcast at all times. Hi, I'm Mikey Aaronworth.
I'm Jason Wellwood.
And I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to Jackast. It's the podcast where we're on a path of destruction through every single episode of Jackass.
We're three lifelong fans of the show, reliving the belly laughs, bad ideas, and broken bones.
Guys, I got a question for you.
What's that?
Okay, I have an answer for you.
Who is wilder than the WildBoyz?
Definitely not you with that energy. Holy shit, Chris.
Yeah. I got to ask about this question, though, because I was thinking about it before we started, since we're back, baby, for season 2. But the question is, I mean, arguably, there's got to be someone out there who's wilder than the WildBoyz.
No, there's not.
You know, in some remote village somewhere, you know, they don't have internet access. We just don't know about them, you know?
You know what?
Who maybe those weird guys that even freaked out the WildBoyz?
Oh, the Agories?
Yeah, the Agories.
Agori is the problem of it. Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who is more wild, Chris? The WildBoyz or Manny?
They're package deal.
They're a
He is a
package deal.
wild boy.
Okay.
Manny is a
I
wild
like
boy.
that answer. I like that answer.
Guys, so we're doing season 2, episode 1 of WildBoyz, and honestly, I'm like super pumped to get back into the show. Like, I love watching this.
I can tell once again by your energy.
Guys, I'm not feeling good today. The fact that I'm even recording, I was just gonna bail because my stomach is not feeling good. But I couldn't miss out on this episode because I just love the show so much. Came out on April 25th of the year 2004, and a really weird thing happened this day. Actually, there was 1.3 million households that didn't have any dishes done or laundry done. Because there was a big women's march. There's 1.3 women.
Okay.
They marched in Washington, D.C.
Saw it coming.
to attend women's rights. So, there's a lot of poor fucking guys at home not getting their shit taken care of.
To be fair, I was going to say all the maids were on strike, but I think...
Same thing.
I don't know if that's
One
better
in
or
one hand,
worse.
one out the other. You know, you say tomato, I say tomato.
In one hand, in out the other, as the saying goes. Chris, I got a question for you because, and I'm going to set this up by saying there was a comment on our YouTube channel that I think Chris would have absolutely loved. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Milo169, first of all, nice name.
My boy.
Left us a comment and said, been listening to this podcast lately and it's so much fun. I love you guys, especially Chris. He is a man of the people. Keep up the good work.
Man of people. Yeah.
Greetings from Germany. So our German listeners are now out in abundance. But Chris, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Say for the record now, because you just have that misogynistic joke. Do you not see women as people? Is that, you know, if you're a man of the people and yet you're shit talking women, do you not see women as people?
Hey, I don't even know why that's even a question, because I don't need to answer stupid questions like that. Because Jay, if you didn't know, we recently did a poll.
Jay.
We recently did a poll on the Instagram, and I was a whopping 78% to 22% a man of the people.
So you know what's crazy about that, Chris?
Yep.
You're proud of it because 78%, but that means that 22% of our listeners don't think you're a man of the people.
Well,
that's
you know
kind
what?
of the bad stat.
I got something for them.
Yeah.
You know,
And only like 5 people voted anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. And 6 of them were Chris somehow. 5 people voted, 6 of them were Chris.
Well, you know what? I'm going to call all these bitch asses out.
Oh, Chris is going to call them out by name. Okay, here we go.
I actually screenshotted this because you know what? They're fucking losers. If they don't think I'm a man for the people, they fucking deserve this shit. So
this is a man of the people
podcast,
as long as the people are men and align with his values and praise him.
I'm trying to find
in case you're new to the podcast, this is just what we do. We try right off the top to lose listener base. Like, you know, we want to keep the, you know, we want to make sure you're along for the ride is the thing here. So we bring Chris on to kind of weed out the faint of heart. And then we do the show. So
we did have one comment as well in one of the reviews was like, great podcast, love listening to it, could do without so much of the personal stories. And we're like, yo, we can't just talk about Jackass. We got to get our personalities into it. Chris, do you have the names?
You know what? I'm trying to find it. I'll bring it up in the next one. But I do remember a couple of the people.
Oh, Chris.
For example.
In the meantime, though,
Yep.
you guys, you ever hear the story about the time I flew across the Atlantic Ocean? It was one of the first, the maiden voyage, if you will. Personal story of mine. I'd like to share on the podcast.
Well, look, everyone's raring to get to know you better, Jay. I think, look, everyone wants to see what you look like. We know if you're listening to the podcast and you don't listen to us or watch us on YouTube, you wouldn't know this, but Jay's face reveal has yet to be done. Chris and I are out there showing our ugly mugs.
I'm like the guy with 2 thumbs in this episode. You don't want to see it, but you do want to see it.
But you do.
Then once you've seen
Are
it,
you Mr. McIntosh from Blank Check?
Chris, fun fact time, I think, eh? What do we got?
Oh, that was my fun fact that
was
no
the women's
got done
one
for 1.3 million households.
Oh, shit, you're right. Sorry, right, the massage.
But yeah,
friggin'... Okay.
There's 2 people I'll call out that just really stuck out in my head. 3 people. There's one of our followers, Christy something, who, you know what? Fuck you. You're not a man of the people. You're good old podcast host who comes and eats at my restaurant every once in a while, and I always take care of him. I always upgrade his burger. Andrew Bascom. Fuck him. Next time I'm going to cook a salmonella burger for him.
Whoa.
He said you're not a man of the people.
And our cousin Ryan, cock and balls Aaronworth, who's probably got the smallest dick in the world. So fuck you too. You want to fucking vote against me? You could suck my fucking dick. And then now that's over.
What this tells me is that people who know you in real life know that you're not a man of the people.
Can we tell the cock and balls story for the listeners? I'd like to know what's the deal.
It's so he worked for we have I guess a family business. And we've all kind of worked on and off there for a while. And our cousin, Ryan, came to work for us for a bit. And he kept saying to everyone, he's like, call me cock and balls. And we're like, absolutely not. We're definitely not going to call you cock and balls. That's the dumbest name. And you do not exude the energy of someone named cock and balls. And he kept telling everyone to do this. First of all, it's a workplace, very inappropriate, but whatever. And then one day his brother comes to visit him in the showroom and he's walking around and I hear him walk by my desk and he says to his brother, yeah, this is the sales team. Everyone here calls me cock and balls. And I'm like, Ryan, no one does. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I don't even like it, but everyone calls me cock and balls. So that's the story of cock and balls, Aaronworth.
Jesus Christ. It's like an episode of The Office over there or something. But hey, I'll tell you what is a complete 180 from an episode of The Office. It's this.
Yes.
The WildBoyz for season 2, episode 1 are off to India. The city, Jesus Christ. This country
of India, yeah.
This country has over 1 billion people there, and the announcer just tells us that they have pretty rad culture. So I'm looking to learn more about the rad Indian culture here. Chris and Steve-O in, I can only say this is, what do you call this? The traditional dress? I don't know. They're wearing
looks like a turban.
They could have went down to the market and bought a couple shirts and the hats.
Looks like they're dressing locally.
They're just dressing locally, and I don't know, like, I'm kind of wondering now, are they going to do this in every location they visit? Were they doing this last season?
Kinda.
I don't remember them doing this last season. Okay. Well, they're getting cultured. So this episode is going to mess you up for life, though, according to Pontius. I love here that as they kind of like zoom out and they get a full body shot of the two, you totally can tell they're just on a fucking green screen, which is like, yeah, we couldn't get a shot of the Taj Mahal. Yeah,
I didn't even pick up on that. Is that true?
Couldn't afford it, so we're just going to do the green screen thing, which is great.
I got a question. Jay, you got to humor me on this one because I'm curious, and maybe you have the right answer for this, but I think I don't know if this is a family thing or this is actually a term for this. But Chris, at the end of the intro, Steve-O and Pontius do something. Do you remember what they do at the end of the intro? They hit each other. No, they hit each other in the head, right? Like they smash their heads together. What is Coco Bonk? That was going to be my question. What do you call it? A Coco Bonk. Jay, have you ever heard the term Coco Bonk before?
Like when two guys butt their heads together.
Yeah, is that a term that you ever heard?
No, I don't think so. Maybe
really?
Like I've never used it anyway.
Because in our family we say it all the time, and I just realized recently that that's not a normal thing.
No
just
way.
Like my grandma used to call farts
really.
fluffs, and I just assumed.
Okay, no, that one has come up in the family.
Oh, it has. Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, you know what my dad used to call a dick when we were kids, because you can't be saying dick to kids, and you can't call it a cock. And I mean those are the two of the best words. So you would call it a tootie.
A tootie.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Is that because in your case
right?
it was 2-dimensional because there was no length to it?
It's like a tapeworm.
Yeah.
No, just flattened. Yeah.
I think he was just saying, get that 2D dick out of my face, or maybe not my face.
Yeah. 2D Dick. What's up, Pixel Dick? Listen,
Yeah.
The first stunt, speaking of dicks and dick-shaped objects, we're going to make some snakes vanish. Hey, 2D dicks. There you go, Mikey. This is the Wild Boy Macho Man Pontius here. He does a couple intros in this episode, and I swear to God, he's channeling a Macho Man Randy Savage here. I love when he squats down to the ground and he shows us this little tiny dancer. Hold me closer, tiny dancer. This small boy is. Is this a boy or just a man with
I think it's.
Like
I think he's like a Hezbollah kind of guy. I think because I couldn't tell if he was a boy or not until I realized he has a full on mustache. He's. I don't think he's a child.
He's an early bloomer, but he waves to the camera, and we've got 10 cobras here today, boys. Holy shit! I know Chris is not on board for this.
I like the cobras too. Here. The worst kind of snakes.
Yeah, cobras are creepy as fuck.
Yeah, those motherfuckers are nasty, man. But yeah, the flute troupe here plays nicely together. And I gotta say, guys, before we discuss it, the small dancer here has bigger balls than Steve-O, who's 100%. Cowering in the corner. He's just dragging those balls all over the dirt. No fear here.
It's so funny. Steve-O, as the sketch goes on, gets farther and farther away from the flute troupe, as you call them. Like, he starts off, he's like in the circle, and then the next time the camera cuts, he's like behind the circle, and the next time he's like in a doorway behind the circle, and then, like, he just keeps on moving farther and farther away. It was hilarious. Meanwhile, Pontius is like getting into it. Like, Pontius is badass in this one.
Yeah, totally. He handled it well. Chris, would you be cowering in the corner behind Steve-O?
I'm never going to India. I literally will never go to India just because I know there's a chance at any block I turn down, there could be snake charmers. Like, they're all over the place. Like, I just will never go there. Solely for that reason, and because I don't like weird, dirty feet people.
Whoa, dirty feet people. Yeah, there are a couple.
There are a lot of dirty.
This episode just made me very clear. I never want to go to India. I'm sorry, Indian people. They have great food, great culture. I can't fucking walk around and have the risk of a cobra fucking popping out at me.
Feet gross. Well, as long as you don't carry a flute with you, I think you're fine. Or maybe you should have a flute with you. Yeah, you need the flute. But by the way, so this is something I've always wondered about snake charming, because that's what they do in this. There's the flute troupe, which I fucking love, Jay. That's a great term. The flute troupe playing the flutes and charming the snakes. Snakes don't have ears, and I don't think they hear traditionally. They sense vibrations, which means I've always wondered this: are they charmed by the sound of the flute or the motion of the flute? Because you see the guys kind of like moving around, and I think that's kind of what the snakes are like, watching it as though it's prey or a predator, and that's what kind of mesmerizes them. I don't think the sound of the flute makes any difference.
Shit, maybe it's like a hostage situation here. That they think like, that guy's got one of my brothers in his mouth. Okay, man, come on, just settle down here. Don't do anything too rash. Let's talk about this. So we're gonna learn today to play the flutes. Pontius gets a quick lesson. The gentleman here just teaches him to poom. He says poom.
Yeah.
Trying to teach him how to flute. Then we get a complete 180 from the Macho Man. Now it's Duke Pontius Nukem here with "Let's Rock" is his tagline going into this one. Bring out that killer and let's see what Pontius can do. So Pontius tries to play, but he does not know what he's doing. He's just making random notes. Steve-O decides, hey, you know what? I'll give him a hand. I'll assist by playing the drums. And good on Steve-O for leaning in a little bit and trying to get into it.
Barely.
He's clearly terrified. The snake lunges, and that's basically it. He says, all right, I'm done charming snakes for now, guys. Man,
the look on Pontius's face when the snake lunges at him, you can take a screenshot and do side by side with the look on his face in Jackass 2 when the snake bites him in the dick. It's the exact same look. Like the look of surprise and shock, and like he almost looks like he's disassociating from his body. Yeah.
Totally.
And so the pomp and circumstance behind everyone, just like the flute troupe, I'm gonna keep saying that. I fucking love that. That's my favorite thing. Playing the flute and they're all going, and there's like 7 or 8 of them, and then all of a sudden they just make the decision. I think when Pontius decides he's gonna take up the flute, get some flute lessons, the main guy just like stops playing and like packs up this, just bare hands the snake and puts it away like he's packing up his like leftover sandwich after the lunch bell. I'm like, what was all this? Like, you're like scared of the snake and moving around in this, and it's like the whistle blows and he just fucking palms the snake and like shoves it in his pocket and walks away. I was like, maybe they're not as dangerous as they seem.
They are. They have hoods on.
Yeah, they probably are. They have hoods.
Even the cops know to shoot people with hoods on.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Sorry,
Trayvon. Fangs out, don't shoot. Jesus Christ.
So this
I'm definitely not going to be a man of the people much longer.
I don't know how to segue. I don't know how to segue now. Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
You like dirty feet, right?
Disgusting. And you guys have a foot fetish?
No.
Do I know? I'm very happy that I don't.
Yeah, me
Actually,
too.
you know what? I'm very upset. I think I've said this before on the podcast. Having a foot fetish would be the greatest thing in the world. I would go to
Trust
get
me, it's not,
pedicures.
Mikey.
Trust me, it's not. Yeah, of course. I would go to get pedicures every day. That would be like watching live porn for free. And then having someone give you a foot job while you're doing it. You get to see everyone else's feet.
True.
Like, wouldn't that be the greatest thing in the world?
It's pretty good, yeah. I mean, but you're going to get flagged pretty quick when you're like getting boners in the poor fucking ladies' shops the whole time. So,
yeah.
It's a shame.
Hey,
I feel like it's a shameful fetish to have.
It feels like it would be, yeah. And no shame to people who have it, but I don't know. I'm sure you don't like it until you get off on it, and then you're like, fucking great. I just have this easy thing that'll get me hard every time it happens.
In general, so it's like not even close to that. Like, I will never get there.
Yeah, so there was a lot of, and they say, which I'm sure you're getting to, Jay, that in India, touching someone's foot is a way of showing respect. And this was one thing, Chris, I kind of agree.
Are they just making that up? I don't know. I haven't researched it.
That's a good question. I actually didn't look it up. I just took it at face value, but I forget that it's WildBoyz, and sometimes they make this shit up. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wondered, because when they said it, I was like listening carefully for that telltale chuckle or laugh, because usually when they're bullshitting you, they'll kind of give it away, especially Pontius, you know?
Oh, actually, so here you go. From theculturetrip.com, Indians believe that when a person bows down and touches the feet of their elders, their ego gets suppressed, as this gesture indicates respecting the age, experience, achievements, and wisdom of the person whose feet are being touched. There you go.
Walk a mile in these shoes.
Disgusting.
So we sit with the gentleman on the street here, and we're going to touch his feet to show respect. Okay, but this is WildBoyz, so of course that is not far enough. I'm Steve-O, and this is the Hindu foot lick, as he puts it. Now, I got to say, with this one, does this continue in the series, this whole Jackass intro? Because they're pulling that from Jackass. Do they continue to do that?
Oh, good question, Chris. You would know better than anyone. You're the biggest WildBoyz fan. I think they do.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was just shaking off like the, old habits or what, but I found it strange because it's not.
Well, keep in mind, what we learned from Jackass 2.5 is they were over in India doing filming, and they thought some of the filming might have been used for Jackass 2. So maybe they're cutting in some of the unused footage from the Jackass 2 movie. And that's why they're introducing it as though it were on Jackass.
You see, listener, the reason I'm not talking about the foot lick, you're just wondering, talk about the foot lick. Come on. What are you talking about this other shit for? Because all that happens is he licks the foot and then he gags a bunch. That's pretty much it. I hate to tell you, there ain't much to it.
It's gross, though. There's debris on his fucking tongue, and it's so fucking... This honestly may be the grossest thing. Well, I thought this was the grossest thing until later in the episode. But, the grossest thing I've seen in Jackass, period, was this. And then it gets worse.
The guy, you could tell he's never fucking believed in a fucking sock or a fucking slipper or a shoe in his life. This guy's walked barefoot for like 70 fucking years. He's probably never fucking washed his feet, and disgusting.
Chris doesn't like these people. Chris doesn't like. So when Chris says he's a man of the people, there's a very specific definition of people in his mind.
Yeah, you got to read the small print on the back of that.
Yeah, and that small print is only written in English, and if you can't read it, you're not his people.
Yeah, you just should be not in this country, you know?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, first of all, we're talking about India. Oh, man. So we're headed to the Pink City, Jaipur. Street performers aplenty here. And here's where we meet Chotu, our friend Chotu, who's going to get stunty with us, as Steve-O puts it. They're going to take fluorescent light bulbs, the tube kind, and we're going to Scotty too hottie this shit. We're going to do the worm, folks, on top of these lights and just dry hump them for a bit and just get dirty and get in there. And so mercury is a thing, yeah? Or what'd you guys think of this?
I think my favorite part about this was seeing... It's like so often Pontius and Steve-O are the ones involved in whatever shit's going on. This time they're watching somebody else, and it's so funny for some people that you would think would be used to this kind of punishment. They're like watching an absolute horror. I'm like, you guys have done like things that are 40 times worse than this, and they're just so like taken back by it, which I thought was kind of interesting to see. It clearly goes to show they're not a lot. They put on a brave face when they're doing things because this was still messing them up a bit,
It was, and look. Here's the thing, though. I fully believe that Pontius and Steve-O would probably be willing to do, maybe not eating the light bulbs and stuff like that, but when they're the ones doing the crazy thing, I think that's what gives them the adrenaline to do it. But when they're on the sidelines watching someone else do it, I think A, they don't love sharing the spotlight, and B, they're going to cringe a little bit because they don't have any control over what's happening. And so this guy though is like the local Johnny Knoxville. He doing the worm. Did you say Scotty Too Hottie? He was doing that's fucking great. I missed that one. That's really good. That's the second time we've referenced Scotty Too Hottie on this podcast, by the way. I just want to say maybe even more than 2 times.
Grandmaster Sexy needs more love too, man. He was good.
I was busy, Jay, looking up the names of these of Gary Shanker.
It's Corey Shanker.
To see. No, it's not. It's G-A-U.
It's Corey Shanker.
Chris came into this recording with the name Corey Shanker, CoreyShanker, but it's GaurishAnkar.
Yeah, he's the second light bulb man.
He's the second light bulb guy.
Let's talk about him for a second, because they've got. He's going to eat one of these. Like, he's just going to take one of these tubes, bust it open over his leg, and then just start chewing on the glass like it's a fucking,
I've seen this
Mars
happen
bar or some shit.
in person. Like, I was sitting at, like, it was years ago. I was like, I used to have my buddies over to watch Football Sunday, and my buddy Christian, he was just a fucking madman. It was like a Sunday afternoon, and we had like, he like grabbed a champagne flute and just bit into it and cut it the shit out of his mouth, and then actually legitimately ate it. And he's like, and everyone's like, yo, this isn't like Friday night at 3 a.m. This is a Sunday afternoon.
Christ.
Yeah, it just fucking blew my mind. Like, he didn't even like prep anybody. He was just like, hey, you guys want to see something cool? His cousin was like a rugby player, and that's like one of their like initiation things. As long as you do it right, it's good to do. But like, he completely severed his lip when he was trying to break the glass in the first place. Terrible.
There clearly is a way to do this, like chewing on glass and eating glass. But like, this is what concerns me. I can lay up a basketball and hit it 100 times out of 100. If I'm unguarded, I will hit 100 out of 100 layups. But I missed the first layup I ever took. So how did he start training for something like this? Did he just cut his lip up and then he figured out how to do it properly? Like, the training in order to be able to do this perfectly every time must have been agonizing.
It's Corey Shanker. He's an enlightened fellow. He's a creepy dude, and he's a man of the faith, man of many faiths.
Man of many faiths. It's funny you say that. He's a creepy dude, because that becomes kind of the theme of the episode. There's Chotu Lial, who's the first guy who comes up. He's the guy who does the Scotty Too Hottie, and he's also kind of doing like his own version of the quiet game from Jackass Forever, where he's doing it and like not reacting. But that also shows that he doesn't really have much of a personality. And the same can be said about Corey Shanker.
Corey
Shanker.
Thank you.
But as the episode goes on, I started to realize that very much seems like his shtick. And he is that like very, like, I think he's like purposely being creepy, even though he's creeping the WildBoyz out, and like Steve-O and Pontius seem really weirded out by him. But I think it's a put on, and I actually really respect the guy for the way he performs now, even though at first I was like, sure, this guy does crazy shit, but he has no personality.
But you know what? The shit is crazy. We've got a finale for you. They're going to get a big bag of glass, pour it on the ground, so we can get Shanker over here to do a little jig, a dancing jig on top of it. And hey, no disrespect to the street performers of Jaipur. I mean, I'm not going out and doing this crazy shit, but there's something about it that just makes me wonder, like, is the entertainment value enough to warrant, to make this your, like, your ace in the hole? I don't know, because I feel like there's not, you expect more when you hear what they're about to do, and then you see it and it's kind of like, oh, gnarly, but
yeah, I think eating the fluorescent light bulb was more impressive than dancing on the glass, because I could imagine how the glass was very thick, and I'd imagine there's a way to like step on. Not that I'm ever going to fucking try. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would never do this, and our listeners should not try this at home. But I think that eating the light bulb is more of a spectacle than dancing on the glass.
So with this next one, guys, I got to ask you, I have a question specifically for Chris here, actually, in just a moment, but I'll introduce it first. This is a brand new vehicle, a WildBoyz special, once in a lifetime here, a rolling bed of nails. And our good buddy, I believe his name's Gary, if I got that right, Gary.
Steve-O keeps saying Gary, but it sounds like it would pronounce Gary, yeah.
Yeah, he says basically Gary is here to nail us today, says Pontius. So Aaron McGahee did this too, and we talked about it at length, but to be fair, he didn't get paraded down a bumpy street on a cart pulled by a camel. However, there's no snakes involved in this stunt. So I got to ask you, Chris, which is preferable between these two?
Oh, good question.
Definitely anything to not do with snakes for me.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that we're talking about with the eating glass. Like, there's people that do beds of nails all the time. They get, like, sledgehammers hitting them while they're on a bed of nails, etc. So, like, there's obviously a method to it. You know, that's why I'm not too fascinated by a lot of these little stunts. You know, if my buddy Christian on a Sunday afternoon could eat glass, like, you know, it's not that impressive, Corey Shanker. You're just a cool, creepy dude. But, like, you see the marks on his back after. You see these things. So, like, I think it's, like, scientifically there's a way to do it. I'm sure it wouldn't be pleasant, but, like, I just don't want to deal with snakes.
It feels like that. It's and I'm glad you brought up Aaron McGahee, Jay, because this in Jackass 2.5 was like a big deal. Again, they're talking about going to India, and they wanted to do like the big thing where they wanted a bed of nails and snakes and snake charmers and all that stuff. And Aaron's the only guy to agree to do it. And remember when we watched that, Chris Pontius was fucking pissed off at Aaron the whole time. He's like, stop complaining, just sit down and do it. And we're like, you know, it seemed very unlike Pontius to rush him like that and be mad. But then you watch this and you're like, oh shit, Pontius did it and he didn't complain. And Aaron, yes, he was scared when the snakes were on him on the bed of nails, but he also was really hesitant to get on the bed of nails in the first place. He was complaining about how much it hurt. And that's probably why Pontius was so pissed off. He's like, yo, I've done this already. I know it's not a big deal. Just sit the fuck down so we can do this. And, you know, that combined with the fact that they clearly just don't like each other all that much. This contextualized that in a way that I didn't expect in this episode.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that, why he'd be a little pissy about it, because, yeah, he's like, dude, I fucking manned up, it's your turn now. But I love the shot, speaking of Pontius, of him riding the camel. That's pretty great, raising his arms up in the air. He acted really well there, because I believed for just a moment that he was a wrangler of camels. He was born to do it. But yeah, that's that stunt, and basically from this point on, we get the return of Macho Man Pontius here, which I love, and I wish there was more of it, but sadly, this is the last iteration of that. Who knows, maybe he'll come back in another episode, but he introduces us to the greatest thumb wrestler of all time. This is what I alluded to earlier. This man,
this guy's a legend,
has 2 thumbs. No joke. I didn't even know this type of thing could happen.
Well,
like,
he has
I knew
4
there's
thumbs,
mutations
Jay.
and
not
and
2.
things.
2 wouldn't be that impressive.
Is it just the one hand? Or
no, he has 2 thumbs on both hands.
Okay, on both hands. And you're right. And if he just had 2 thumbs, yes, you're correct. We can all do that shit.
Wouldn't be that impressive.
Nothing
That's
special,
like Chris's being impressed with Steve-O doing an upside down handstand.
But like, this is crazy because it actually is. They're both like opposable thumbs. Like, it's not just, you know, oh, he has an extra finger and they're calling it a thumb. No, it's like, just picture a thumb on top of a thumb growing out of your fucking thumb. It's something to see, man.
It feels like Exhibit designed someone's hand, where he's like, I heard you like thumbs, so I put a thumb on your thumb.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what, Ryan's that guy gets to pull that secret agent move in like Thumb Wars. You know the Thumb Wars, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare Thumb War, and then you like take your other finger and you trap him down. You say secret agent.
Yeah, but Chris, that's what the premise of this sketch is.
No, I know. I just he gets to do it in like the coolest way possible.
He legitimately
like he gets to legit do a secret agent.
Yeah, that's a secret agent.
He
I
could
love
fucking
that.
double secret agent, if you want.
Oh,
exactly.
Shit. Get a double pin. Wow.
He's got a 006, a 007. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty short and sweet. I mean, Steve-O ends up losing, of course, but it's more than anything just a sight to see those 2 thumbs on one hand. That was
how did you guys feel with things like this? Because they start to find people on the streets of I can't remember what city they were in, but you know, across India and all the cities that they were in, and they're clearly seeking out people with like disabilities to kind of make a joke about it. It felt, I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to ruin everyone's fun, but like there were parts of this that felt very uncomfortable for me. Like they're finding a guy with like a deformity on his hand, and they're clearly making fun of him for, maybe not him, but they're laughing. I don't know. Am I?
No,
I don't need to reiterate.
This is why you're not a man of the people.
I was going to say, I'd like to hear from the man of the people before I decide.
Okay,
if that's all right.
So how is that a man of the people thing, Chris?
Because I might say some off-color things. But at least I speak honestly, and I speak what people are actually thinking. You try and fucking sit on your fucking high pedestal and fucking pretend like you fucking really cared about that shit. Deep down, we know you didn't give a fuck. You were laughing, and now you're trying to like preach this fucking fake, falsy shit to the fans, and we're not dumb. We know you actually don't care about that. So why you even bring it up? Just don't say it.
You think I'm virtue signaling? Is 100%. What you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And which one of us basically disparaged an entire half of the population earlier?
I don't know what you're talking about. First of all, it's fake news. Second of all,
Chris is going to be such a good politician one day.
I'll say this,
until they watch 10 minutes of this podcast, and I'm fucked forever. I'm
no,
canceled
then all you
immediately.
have to do is not apologize, and you'll get elected as the president of the United States. Like that's the new thing, is just don't apologize, and you're good.
Yeah, if you're playing this clip at the opposition's rally right now, hi everybody.
Hi.
Hope you're having a good time out there.
How's it going? Don't associate me with that guy over there.
Yeah.
You'd have to
Mikey, I'll say this.
18% of my friends and Mikey.
Okay, good.
Don't you feel like part of what they're doing though is kind of highlighting these folks with the, maybe mutations or deformities or odd things going on? Because I feel like Steve-O was like, man, this guy's like the best thumb wrestler, and he, after he wrestled him, he was like, thanks, man, that was awesome, you're rad. Like he wasn't like laughing in his face or anything. You know what I mean?
It's a fine line, and I that's kind of why I asked. I'm not flat out saying what they're doing is wrong, but I was curious to get your guys' take whether I was reading too much into it, because yes, there is a way to highlight people who don't have a completely normative body, and showing like the elephantitis in the feet or the two thumbs on each hand and all that stuff. But you run the risk of making it like freak show-esque, where like you're highlighting these people and making them some form of celebrity, but at the same time you're doing it so that we can all like gasp at how crazy the human body can be. It's not celebrating, it's more like cabinet of curiosities-ing them, and that's the line you run. But I think I agree, like it felt like at times Steve-O tried to show respect, like he did bow after licking the foot, he did say you're rad and all that stuff. So maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I was, the whole time I was like a little uncomfortable with where they were going.
Dude, if I had two thumbs, I'd be showing that shit off to everybody.
That's true, yeah,
all the time.
You can probably do some good jerk off tricks, like
probably. Yeah.
Jerk off tricks.
Jerk off tricks. You don't know about jerk off tricks? Come on.
Nothing up the sleeves. Watch my next jerk off trick.
Yeah. When you said nothing up the sleeves, I just thought of like, you ever play Assassin's Creed?
Yes, of course.
The blade that comes out of the
a
dildo, hidden dildo.
Oh, hey, there you go. I was thinking you were going to
say
say nothing up the wizard's sleeve, because that would have been another thing.
I should have. It's too late now. Can't turn back time, unfortunately. Sloth Bear is up next, and they're
Prince of Persia. It's Assassin's Creed.
They're highly endangered, these sloth bears. They like to eat termites and ground insects, and they like to wrestle human beings, apparently. But now at this point of the show, one of these two nerds is probably going to tell me that they did the research, and these bears are extinct now, or it went the other way, and the repopulation was too successful, and now they've taken over a small province in India. And
they actually run a wrestling territory in eastern eastern India.
It's the Nurmagomedov clan, the Dagestanis versus the sloth bears. These are the two like primary wrestlers. By the way, do you think sloth? That's honestly, it's got to be Habib now, depending 100%. On how you look at it. By the way, although this bear seemed like a piece of shit. This bear seemed like such a piece of shit when it was going after Steve-O. But I have a question for you before we get into it. Do you think sloth bears are sloths who are pumped because they're kind of like bears, or bears who are bummed because they're kind of like sloths? It was like one of them would be good, one of them would be bad.
That's a great question.
That is a really good question.
I don't have the answer, unfortunately. But,
did you guys notice in the wrestling though, like Steve-O's getting his fucking Steve-O's getting his ass kicked by this bear, and the bear is ignoring Pontius completely. Like I think Pontius has this rare calm around animals. Like he's super comfortable around them, and because he's not afraid, I think the animals just like respect him and leave him there. But he gets in the middle of Steve-O and the sloth bear, and the sloth bear leaves Pontius alone and keeps going after Steve-O. It's either the sloth bear had it out for Steve-O, or Pontius just knows how to keep his energy to a point where the bear is not going to bother him.
Yeah, I don't know, but that is a good question. I almost wondered if it was Pontius's natural odor or musk. Maybe they
honestly,
like, he's a friend of ours. We don't fuck with that guy. But the bear wrestling to me looks like one half fun and one half terrifying, because they seem to just want to play. Like they're not out to maim or anything, but they also don't know their own strength.
Right.
So it's Steve-O gets some pretty nasty scratches after this one, but yeah, you're right. That one bear is just a piece of shit.
It's just such a piece of shit.
Just a piece of shit. But hey, you know, if that wasn't enough for you, you know, we got to meet more of the people of India. We can't just be hanging out with the fucking bears all day. Let's face it. So
I would rather hang out with the bears than meet this next person. I swear.
Ramesh, you don't like Ramesh?
No, don't like Shame Ramesh.
He is a face piercing expert, and this is the good old fashioned kind, whatever that means. But basically, we're gonna pierce through the cheek with a very long needle. And this fucking guy, I think this is why, Chris, you have respect for him. He doesn't even flinch a little bit. Like, Steve-O's just watching him. This needle goes through his cheek. He's done in a matter of seconds. Steve-O doesn't even know what to say. He's just like, cool, dude. Like, he's just blown away by how well the guy handled it, because he knows he's not going to handle it this well. And he has to go through it.
Steve-O asked him, how often do you do it? And he said every single day, right?
Every day. Yeah.
He has the clearest skin of anybody I've ever seen in my life.
Honestly, he does.
It was a marvel. Yeah. Like, I was like, wow, this guy's just glowing. Like, he just radiates. Maybe it's like helping his pores. Like, how does he not have any scars or any bumps or bruises or anything? He's just, it's...
Also, if he's doing it once a day, do you think he's just using the same hole?
But he would have a hole.
Yeah. But it would be so small, right? It would be so small if you use the same one. Because it's a thin needle. I don't know.
You can see the poke through, right?
Oh, man, the sound that it made when it popped through his skin made me fucking want to vomit. It was so disgusting.
Yeah,
who
it's like
needs
watching
this as a profession, man.
It's like watching somebody push their finger through a latex balloon until it just eventually pops and all that tension releases and the needle goes through. It's
oh my God,
gross.
And Steve-O's is the worst because I think because he's never done it before, really has to. I've never seen human skin look like that before. Where when he's pushing the needle through, and it's legitimately like 3 inches outside of where his cheek would be, in like a very tiny point. Like, I fucking couldn't watch it.
I love how you use this tool later on to do the fishing for sharks. You remember when he uses the fish hook through the cheek?
Yeah, he used this as an idea, although that was in Jackass 2, right?
Yeah, that
or was that Jackass 1? I think it was Jackass 2. Yeah. But I wonder what came first, this or that. I think I actually heard in an interview that he used this as inspiration for the shark fishing.
That's kind of what I figured.
This experience, yeah,
that would make sense. But I love how long it takes to come through Steve-O's cheek, too. Like, he's pushing, and he doesn't even know. Man. He's asking Pontius, who's on the camera, is it out yet? Is it out yet? He's like, no, keep going. And eventually it breaks through, and then there's just this moment of Steve-O just wide-eyed, mouth agape because he can't close his mouth, obviously, and he's like, okay, like, what do we do now? You know? Like,
well, he looks at Shame, and he's like, okay, show me the secret to getting it out. And Shame just pulls the needle out. And Steve-O looks at him like, oh, fuck, you're telling me there's not a secret to this? Like, I just have to go back the other way? Like that? Ugh, that sounds awful. Yeah. I don't know. This whole thing, for some reason, legitimately, while this stunt was going on, I was angry. I was pissed off. Like, first of all, you mentioned this, Jay. Shame Ramesh is a face piercing expert. What does that mean? At what point do you qualify as an expert, and to what end? What purpose does this serve apart from grossing people out? Is this like a freak show thing too? Like, I don't think the world needs a single face piercer in this capacity. I
completely disagree.
You do? What purpose does this serve? Just entertaining people?
Yeah.
Oh man,
he's a little guy who lives in a little house, and he's face piercing, and now he's famous. Like, what more can you ask for? It's a dream.
He is world famous.
It's all about the American dream, right? If you could go in, you could have a task that you love to do. You could earn a living. If you're a small person, you might earn a small house. You know, his little house is tiny, but.
How did your point just shift from the American dream to little people having little houses? Where did that just come from?
Hey man, Yoda lived in a tiny house.
Exactly, that's true.
No, it's not like a disrespecting. If I was small, I'd work in a packed house.
It was just weird because it felt like you were making a point about being able to live the American dream, and then it turns out the point was about little people having little houses. It's just a weird connection.
It's a good point, really.
Because he has a little bit less to offer to society.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So he gets a little bit less of the size of a house.
Maybe he's doing it for personal reasons, you know? Maybe he just wants to, he wants to be comfortable with pain, So in situations in the future, he's like, I've done shit like this before, I'll be all right.
In the off chance that someone holds him up in a back alley with a knife and he thinks, okay, I can get away from this as long as he goes to stab me, I put my face in front of the knife and it doesn't affect me. Like, that's the one skill that he's learning. I don't know, man. I didn't like it. I didn't like this at all.
But we got to keep this train moving. Steve-O and Pontius, they haven't played the game of polo since they were undergrads at Yale, and I believe them. But this time, they're going to play it on elephants. And I didn't even know this was a thing, but if I'm completely honest, guys, I got to say, elephant polo Fuck yeah, boys. Come on. It's
cool.
Yeah, it's like playing croquet at your parents' 40th anniversary barbecue, but you got these extra long mallets and a tennis ball and you're riding an elephant. What's not to love?
With one major exception, elephants are involved. Yeah. I think
your
that
parents don't know how to party. That's all.
If there were one, not with elephants. If there were one sport at 33 years old that I think I could start now and go pro at, it would be elephant polo. There's this just looks like a bunch of people whacking it about. It looks so unskilled, and it's not like horse riding where you have to be agile. You just kind of hope that the elephant gets to where it needs to be. The one thing I kept thinking about this is you guys know about how smart elephants are, right? They celebrate their elders. They all celebrate the birth of new members of their crew.
They lick each other's feet.
They lick each other's feet to show respect to their elders. They have elephant graveyards. There's almost an element of artistic appreciation and emotion in them. So what the fuck are they thinking when we ride on their backs to play polo? They're like, these fucking humans are so goddamn stupid. If I had thumbs, I would crush these fucking things, throw them off my back. Or do you think they're having fun with it?
I think they're having fun.
Yeah,
it's a nice day out, you know? Who doesn't like to play some sport, you know?
True.
That's true.
Think they like bragging rights with the other, do you think they take it seriously too amongst themselves? If they're so smart, they're just like, yo, I got you fucking 6-1, bro. You fucking suck today.
I hope so. It's like, yeah, well, you got fucking Steve-O on the back. He's just reaching into my ass and throwing shit at the guy on top of it.
Oh, boys. Yeah,
I like it. Steve-O reaches into the ass of an elephant, grabs out shit and throws it at Pontius, and the ref calls a foul as though that's like a red card offense. No, guys, we have rules for this. There is no pulling shit out of butts anymore. We talked before the match. We told you guys the one thing you can't do is pull shit out of another elephant's ass. And yet he does it. This felt, what this reminded me of was, remember the BMX polo that they do in, I think, Jackass season 3?
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that because I'm like, good concept. Let's watch the guys play a sport that's wild and wacky. But then it just kind of devolves into madness because I think the sport itself isn't that interesting or not interesting enough to carry a full sketch. But I think the concept was better than what we ended up getting as a finished product in this one.
Yeah, and not that I'm sure it matters, but Steve-O does end up winning here. He gets rushed by a bunch of children who celebrate with him. And there you go.
Well, that was a weird fucking scene, Jay, because so he wins. He's declared the winner. And did you see the celebration he did? He has his hand in the air and he's jangling his balls like he's pantomiming jacking off. Yes. And then from off screen, a bunch of school children run at him. And I'm like,
a little weird.
That's not the way you want to do this.
Maybe that's,
what are you about to say, Jay? What are you about to say? I think
really
you just
don't.
Yeah, I think you pulled on the reins there a little bit, and I think you made the right call.
Listen, well, this isn't Viva La Bam. This is WildBoyz.
Yeah.
WildBoyz, after all. Back with the two glass-eating folks. What were their names?
Jerry Shanker and
Chandler
Cho Tuliao.
And Joey and Chandler. No,
Joey and Chandler.
Yeah. Could I be eating any more glass? Fuck that guy. Listen, but he just released an autobiography. I'm like, really? Do we need this? Does the world need?
What is it
Matthew
called?
Perry
Could I
biography?
be writing any more about myself?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we're here to talk about WildBoyz. I mean, unless you guys want to talk about, the.
Imagine we pivoted and became a podcast about Friends.
Yeah, that's never been done.
Never. No.
We're back with our two glass-eating boys, and we're doing something different here now. Chris referenced jack-off tricks earlier.
Yes, yeah. Chris is laughing because he's got a fucking massive dog.
Yeah,
drinking
so
water
calm
right
and
now.
chill the whole time. He was snoring for a bit, so I woke him up, and then he friggin' now is drinking water, and he's
the loudest.
You told me I can't mute the mic, so I'm just sitting here like, well, it's what it is.
It's fine. I'll edit it. Well, now we're talking about it, so I can't edit it out.
Yeah.
Fuck, how much you gotta drink, listen, bro? Closely. Kind of sounds like someone sloshing their balls around in a bathtub.
Maybe that's what he's doing in a bathtub. Yeah, honestly, it really does. Yeah, it's got that echoing to it.
What are you doing? Come here, buddy.
Yeah,
come on, up here.
So now we get to the fire ceremonies.
I was going to see if the dog wanted to do the next segment. Maybe intro the next segment.
He's big enough that we could sit on his back and play polo, though, just like the elephants.
All right. We got to do the fire tricks. Mikey, you're right. Chris referenced jack-off tricks earlier. This is some fire tricks. We're going to be blowing fire and shit. But Steve-O does something really impressive here, which I like. You know, he takes a big swig of the alcohol, fucking 100 proof, whatever that is. I don't know. But he does this backflip, and he breathes a fireball, like, up in midair, which this could have gone terribly wrong. You know, you do it at the wrong point in the flip, you could shoot a fireball right in your fucking face. So, pretty impressive for Steve-O.
It seems like, I think he even said this, like he was, this was always one of his tricks, like in his bag of tricks, and he always wanted to do it on MTV, but they wouldn't let him. And I guess something in the context of like a cultural trick or something that they do out there, like with the fire walking and the flame spitting, they finally could do it, and MTV's legal team would be okay with it. Like, that's kind of the vibe that I got. But when he does the backflip, fire spit, no one reacts. Like Gary Shanker and Chotu Liao, like they don't react at all. And he looks legitimately bummed out. He's the only one cheering, and I think he expected it to be this momentous occasion, and kind of no one gives him anything, and he just looks completely bummed.
It was cool though.
It was fucking badass. Cool. I could never do anything like that.
So we got to go from breathing fire, though, to the classic coal walk, which is something that these guys are obviously no stranger to. But I just say good thing the small man with the big balls isn't here, because I'm sure he'd crush it, but I don't know.
He was laying under the coals. They were like laid on top of him.
Step on me, daddy. Steve-O doesn't know the technique for walking across coals. And this is the thing, guys. Like
there's got to be
a way.
Right?
There's gotta be,
I've
but
seen
I think
some
you
straight
also
up
need...
nerds on like a friggin' like a work bonding trip, you know, and they have those team building exercises, and everybody that's like never done it was able to just like calmly walk across it. I'm like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. This one I don't get.
Yeah, there's probably some ways to do it. I think there's also an element of like calloused feet, you know, like these guys probably just walk around without shoes on and get their feet all fucked up. That's why they can dance on glass. That's why they can walk across hot coals.
Foot fetish people would love like a post coal walk foot. It's kind of like barbecued foot.
Yeah, I think so. I think I can't imagine they wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
In your mind, are they eating these things?
I don't know. See, the other thing I always had a question, and hit us up in the comments if you are a foot fetish person and or know one and know the answer to this.
Yeah,
like,
out yourself.
When I'm watching porn, like I want the dirtiest version of what I am, like of like what I'm watching. You know what I mean? So it's like the people that like feet, do they like clean, pristine looking feet, or if it's like a fucking wonky one, is that more of a turn on, or is there two different types?
I'm sure there's both. Yeah.
Oh, here's a question. You guys ever be watching one and it starts out good, and then like halfway through the guy starts like incorporating the feet, and you're kind of like, fuck, dude, I'm already going here. Like
100%.
I'm not really into it, but I'm not going to shut it off either.
I'll skip it. Do the skip ahead 30 seconds. Yeah. No, that's another one where you have like 7 tabs open, and you stockpile like you're a fucking squirrel going to hibernate, and you're like, I'm going to pick the one that I want to watch on one of these tabs after I've spent 40 minutes looking for the right video.
You know what it is? It's like you're at a party and you guys are playing a drinking game and everyone's having fun, and some new guy comes to the table and he gets in on a couple rounds and you're all having a great time, and he's like, hey guys, you want to play Scrabble for a round? But like he's really pushy about it. Nobody really wants to play Scrabble, but he somehow convinced everyone to do a round of Scrabble. And you're like still like kind of into it. Yeah. You're not really having fun. You kind of wish you weren't playing Scrabble. You know, you just want to go back to the good stuff. It's like, dude, you know, I think you just got to be more aware of the viewer, of the room. Like, read the room a little bit. You know, don't get the feet in there just without a warning at least. Like, have a disclaimer.
What is happening right now? How are we talking about Scrabble right now?
There should be a trigger warning at the start of any video that's going to go and do that without my knowledge. I don't want to. Okay. You know,
that makes sense. What doesn't make sense is you talking about Scrabble right now.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's about it's in line with Chris's analogy about the small people in small houses. Get on board.
Yeah, honestly,
Jay, I totally agree with you.
Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys.
That's right. That's it.
I hate you so much.
That's basically this skit, though, guys. Walking on coals. All I got to say to Chris's point, if you're going to do, you know, if you got a foot fetish and you like a little barbecued foot, maybe put a little bullseye on there, you know.
Oh, yeah. Little Franks.
You know, little courtesy.
Frank and Gary. So, do you guys think, because they keep like they punctuate this episode with Steve or Pontius looking at the camera and saying Gary Shanker's just kind of creepy like that. Like they just think he's a fucking creep. And I imagine there's a scenario in which Gary knew that this was going to be on MTV, and I'm sure they got access to the recording somehow, and they probably gathered their family around. They had like an English translator, and all of a sudden everyone Gary knows, everyone he's grown up with is watching it, and all they see is these 2 Americans calling him a fucking creep and doing it behind his back the whole time. That would be terrifying.
Well, you know what? Spoiler alert, it doesn't obviously bother him because in like another season, there's a return of Corey Shanker.
Right. Okay, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
All
back.
right.
He comes back again.
We'll see him
and
again.
I fucking love it. I think about him a lot.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So much that
Don't you remember
refuse
when we were at the cottage, like, and I was watching WildBoyz like 2 summers ago, and I was like, man, don't you remember Corey Shanker? And you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I remember you were sitting at the Hangover, and okay, anyways.
No.
Well,
No, don't remember
that.
But I'll
Well,
pretend
you know
like
what?
I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've got 2 more to go, boys, and we're right at the end of the episode. And I think they saved the best for last. I didn't really expect this because they already did a feet-based thing.
Yeah.
You know, with a feet lick. Then they come back and they found a guy with, Mike, you referenced this earlier. It looks like some sort of what do you call it?
Elephantitis or something.
Elephantitis or something in his feet. And I'm just thinking, well, of course we're licking.
Wait, do you
knees.
think
why are
this
we
guy
here
could play?
elsewhere?
Do you think this guy could play polo without having to ride on an elephant because he has an elephant underneath him? Technically,
Coming from the same guy
He'd probably
that
be really good
really
at
couldn't
water
handle
skiing,
us making fun of people with disabilities, and you go and fucking make a joke like that. See, I told you he was fake.
I'm just trying to play polo with you guys.
Okay.
You know, in like
All right.
the mafia when they encase your feet in concrete and throw you off a bridge.
Yeah. Sleep with the fishes.
What do they? This guy's already like he's fucked. You know,
I feel like they're like boys.
You
Like
think they do
float
like
him.
buoys?
Yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah. He'd be floating upside down in the river. Yeah, I could definitely see
Every
that.
time he goes in the water, he just goes upside down. Like, God damn it.
Whoop.
This
Here I
one
go again.
legitimately, what they call it, the big foot lick, legitimately made me gag. This was so gross to me. Pontius takes it like a champ. Steve-O doesn't. Steve-O's
Oh, yeah.
clearly really affected by it. Pontius doesn't
No,
phase
man,
him at all.
Pontius eats it like he's eating that shit up like he's in a breakfast cereal commercial. He's selling the feet to you is what he's doing here.
Yeah, it looked kind of good actually. But imagine
Yeah, debris
being-
and all.
the debris is so fucking gross. But imagine what's going through this kid's head. He's sitting there, comfortable, just enjoying himself. 2 white dudes come up, lick his foot, high five in front of him, vomit where he was chilling out, and then just fucking leave. Like, the kid clearly isn't getting up and going anywhere anytime soon. It doesn't look like he's that mobile. So he just now has to sit with vomit right in front of his stoop. Like, I hope someone from the crew cleaned that up. Otherwise, that's just so fucking mean.
It's really funny, actually. I didn't think of it like that.
It's just we go in and out of these people's lives because we are the camera crew in this show. But to those people, they just stay there, and something entered into their lives that they've never seen anything like before, and they just have to deal with. It would be like seeing an alien. You're like, wow, that's never going to happen again. Like, you got abducted. He's going to tell his friends, like, yo, these 2 white dudes licked my feet on the street the other day, and they're going to be like, fuck off. No, they didn't.
It's so fucking weird. Do you think he has his friends
Either
that just like
of,
fart near him and then just run away because like he can't go anywhere?
Jesus Christ.
Because I would 100% do that if I was his friend.
Honestly, yes. Yeah. It would be mean it would be cruel if they didn't, because that would mean they don't respect him.
Exactly. See, you're learning, Mikey.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Mikey's growing. That's good. Good moment. You guys ever see an elephant take a piss?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
That's circus
Actually,
all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Well, golden shower is definitely the way you're going to put this one. And Steve-O feels like he's been a dirty boy. You know, he's probably been in India for long enough, and maybe he's just been so busy he hasn't been able to find a good shower. So, hey, this is convenient. Let's crawl under this giant elephant and just fucking see what happens. There is nothing else. There's no planning. It's very WildBoyz. It's just throw shit at a wall and see if it sticks. And yeah, an elephant takes a big piss on him. And I got to say, like, I probably told this story on the podcast before. I can't remember, but I have a great picture from the zoo where it's all smiles up front, everybody's happy, and then in the background there's a horse and its massive dick just taking the biggest piss right behind me.
Fuck yeah.
It's
I
the best.
love that.
That's going
I
in the
love that.
family photo album is all I can say. Like for generations, that's getting passed down, you know.
Yeah.
The best
Beautiful.
thing is this isn't even, it's not even just the piss, which by the way, Steve-O is fucking soaked. He is soaked. There's so much pee. I didn't realize elephants could do,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. But the best part is when the elephant, I guess elephants are like humans, where you can't shit without peeing, right? So when he starts shitting, he starts peeing. I can't believe we're talking about this. And, but so when it starts to shit, you can hear the production crew get so excited. They're like, it's pooping too. It's pooping. It's pooping too. Like grown ass fucking adults talking about their friend getting shit on by an elephant, and they're ecstatic about it.
My favorite part is how like the elephant so gently is like, "But get out of there." Like, and shoos him away with one foot, just gently nudges him. Like, come on, man, I'm trying to take a fucking shit over here. Just fucking, like, what are you
100%.
doing, bud? That's
What are you
disgusting.
doing?
Yeah.
That reminds me of the time my dad, back when I was living at home, this was years ago, and we had a family dog, and my dad went to, when the dog was a puppy, we just had it, my dad went to the bathroom and he pissed. And the door was open. And then all of a sudden, like a minute later, I hear my sister go like, "Oh, why is Maggie all wet?" And my dad starts laughing. And he says when he was peeing, Maggie, the dog, jumped up onto the toilet and got peed on. So my dad pissed on the dog, fucking didn't do anything about it. Didn't what the Maggie goes out the window. My sister goes out the door. My sister goes to pet Maggie and he's covered in my dad's piss.
I never heard this.
My dad's fucking giggling like a schoolgirl. Like it's the funniest thing he's ever heard. My sister starts gagging. Fucking hell, man. So that reminded me of this. Steve-O getting pissed on by an elephant. I was thinking of the time my sister pet my piss-filled dog.
And on that note, guys, I don't know if there's a better way to end the episode with a story like that. This was fun. I'm glad we're back on the WildBoyz train. I wasn't really sure what to expect for season 2. Like I said, I think when we started season 1, I had expressed that this is a show I didn't get to see a lot of in its day, so it's fun going back and seeing some fresh content, liking it so far, and we will be sticking with season 2 from start to finish, so stick along with us for the ride.
Well, before we go, though, we got to do our MVPs and LVPs.
Let's do that.
I'll start us off. This one's an easy one for MVP. It can't be anything but the, as Chris calls Corey Shanker, as I call Gauri Shankar. Just that fucking stole the show. That creepy ass motherfucker just showing up and doing the yeoman's work and being impressive while doing it. It's got to be Gauri Shankar.
It's Corey Shanker for sure.
Yep, Chandler all the way, MVP.
Chandler. LVP for this one is none other than Shamay Ramesh doing a job that no one ever needs. I don't need to see someone piercing their face, not even for jewelry, just sticking a needle through his cheek for no reason whatsoever. Get off my TV screen. Look, I'm happy for this guy if he's making a living doing it. A small guy living in a small house, as Chris seems to think, is so fucking important for some reason.
Cute.
It's cute. But I don't like it. The image of him sticking the needle through his mouth and just having watery eyes, like water in his eyes, just as he's looking at Steve-O, like, please end my suffering. He is the LVP of this episode for me.
Yeah, my LVP it's actually a tie. It is Steve-O and Chris Pontius, the WildBoyz themselves.
Oh, wow.
They had to lick feet.
Yeah, true.
And that's a loss in my books all day, every day. Not much else to it. It just sucks.
That does suck.
LVP for me, I'm going to go with editors at Pornhub, because seriously, disclaimer, if you're going to do that, like, I don't need to see a guy putting the 2 feet together and fucking the feet like it's a vagina. I just don't need that. The appeal's not there.
Jay, your LVPs are always my MVPs. Like your selections are so fucking good for the LVP. I love it.
So you're a foot man, is what you're saying.
I think, no, well, I mean, depending. I've had my weird nights, but I mean, the concept of you selecting LVP is my MVP.
I know what you meant. I was
Thanks,
just
Jay.
giving you a hard time. Hey, if you want to give us a hard time, find us at Jackast Pod on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and anywhere else you can find us. Who knows? Maybe we're on a few secret platforms that we didn't disclose. Ooh.
It's at JackastPod, or emails jackaspod@gmail.com, and leave us reviews. Obviously, we're going to go through and read some of those as well. Some nice comments on our socials. Love when the community interacts with us, and we'll be moderating those for some comments to leave on here. Let Chris know whether he's a man of the people or not, because we seem to be struggling to figure that out.
No, we don't. We don't need to. The poll was in. The results were in. I was overwhelmingly a man of the people, and let's just leave it at that.
Okay. All right.
I don't need any recounts. I don't want any fucking, what do they call that? Election rigging and all
voter
that.
Fraud.
Yeah, voter fraud, all that bullshit. Mail-in votes, come on.
See,
bullshit. Yeah, fucking election was stolen.
Jesus Christ.
Let's go fucking storm Parliament Hill.
Yeah.
Parliament Hill?
Over
what
this?
the fuck are you talking about?
I don't
Parliament
know.
Hill in Canada. In
Capitol
Ottawa.
Hill. Oh, Parliament. Oh, I see. I get, the Canadian version. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, Trudeau said that Chris was not a man of the people. Now it's on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I challenge him to a fight.
Yeah, that would be. I'd pay to see that fight. Yeah, boys. Earlier, I insinuated too that we might be on a few secret platforms. And I wasn't actually saying that that's true. We're not hidden out there on Pornhub, for example, right, Mikey?
Yeah. Oh,
you would know a thing or two about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, you definitely wouldn't be able to find us there. My other podcast, we actually did run a playlist of on the retrograde.
To your podcast a
yeah,
lot.
Yeah, we used to have
podcasting with you. Now I can't.
And now you don't need to hear my voice anymore. I thought about that sometimes. I'm like, do you still listen to it? I'm like, why would you, man? You hear my voice all the time.
Actually, and time to time, when you guys are doing a game that I like, I will turn it on.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that was a thing. You guys used to have a Pornhub. I don't know if we talked about this on here. Can you tell me why? Why did you do that?
Every time we talk about like a specific video game and talk about whether or not there was porn associated with it, we would find a video of it, because it's a video game podcast. It's the Retrograde Video Game Podcast, if you're curious. And we would curate that list of all of the videos that we talked about, and we would put them in there to prove how much of what we were talking about actually existed on Pornhub.
That is wild. I never once checked it out, but I always wondered what the deal with that was. So I'm glad you could spill that for me on the fucking Jackass podcast of all places. That's great. There you go, a little behind the scenes. Go listen to Mikey's other podcast. It's a fun time, Retrograde. But yeah, until next week when we'll be back with episode 2 of season 2, that does it. We'll see you then. Bye. I'm Jason Wellwood.
Hi, I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Bye, I'm Mikey Aaronworth, and this has been Jackast.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it!